Good morning, guys. Welcome to First Among Equals podcast, and I am here with the owners and creators of Casa Papalotl. I am here with
Edmundo
and Roxy.
Morning, guys. How's it going?
It's going
Pretty
great.
good.
Cool. I really wanted to have you on the podcast. We've been planning to meet up with them for a minute because they've been really grinding and hustling on their awesome company. And so I wanted to talk to them about what was going on and the latest things that have been happening with you guys. So I know you guys had an event recently. Can you guys tell us about it?
For sure. So it was last weekend, actually a week from today, that we had our tea party, our first tea party. And it was kind of like our first like solo event where we were collaborating with someone, but it was pretty cool to, put it together ourselves and stuff. But basically it was like food, like, just treats, sweets and stuff. And then tea, obviously. We had a couple of vendors, and then we had some knowledge shares from us. And then like one of our friends also did a crystal knowledge share. But then it was also more like, kind of like a mixer for people to talk, and then we had drinks as well, which is what we're having here.
That's what
today.
it is here.
Yeah. We had gin infused tea, and then we had our bestsellers, which are Serenity Tea Blend, which is normally great for like anxiety, stress, and then we have our Heartbreak Tea Blend, which is this one here. And that one is great for like depression, anxiety, grief, heartbreak, and stuff like that.
Would you say, so what made you guys decide to go into business together and do this?
Okay. That's a story right there.
Yeah, that's a story itself. So this was back in what, 2013 maybe?
I think so.
2013. I was working for an herbalist.
Okay.
And our graphic designer had just kind of quit on us. And I was like, he's like, well, you need to hire a graphic designer, because I was in charge of the hiring and all of that. So I called him and I was like, hey, are you looking for work? And he's like, yeah, actually. Yeah. So I hired him on board as a graphic designer. We were with that company for almost 2 years, I would say.
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly around almost 2 years. And then everything kind of like went under for the owner and stuff like that. So, everything was just kind of like at the end, I guess. Anyways, so that's when I had the idea of like, hey, we should do this. I want to do this myself, like, what do you think? I pitched the idea to him, as a friend. I was like, hey, what do you think? He's like, well, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So he actually like was the one that was like, I'll help you. Let's do this. So that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Like initially, I think she wanted to do just like herbs, which is what we were used to. We were selling herbs.
Encapsulated herbs.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly what that meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, when we tell them, oh, we sell herbs, they're like, oh, you guys sell weed? And it's like, no. We don't sell weed. We sell herbs. Like, for medicinal reasons. And what happened was, I was like, that's a great idea, but I think we should start on a smaller scale, because just to start off with just like having, hundreds of herbs and trying to sell that is going to be a little hard for us. So why don't we start off with maybe tea, which is something that people drink, whether it's cold or hot outside, and it's a little easier to manage,
and it's familiar too.
Yeah, a lot of people know about
it's definitely more.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it was in 2014 that we decided to do this, and it went from like a simple idea that was jotted down on paper to like, what it is now. Here we are 5 years later.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I guess now we've kind of stuck to the tea idea, and I really like how it, we're connecting people to, ancestral knowledge at the same time, but in the simplest form where people don't even realize it,
Right.
Where they're connecting with like herbs, and that's our purpose basically. We want to reconnect people with medicine, ancestral medicine that has been forgotten and lost through like colonization and stuff like that. So yeah.
Was that something you both felt like was really important to reflect, like as individuals?
I think like little by little we see less of it in the community, so we kind of want to bring awareness to it again. So it's something that we thought was important to bring back to the people around us and the community, like I said,
and in such a easy and
accessible
and effortless way, where like I said, people don't even realize. So
and when you guys started it, you said you went down the tea route. Do you feel like, this is going off a little bit off what you're saying, but when we were kids, it's like we didn't at least I didn't realize how important it was our ancestral connections. Like, you hear about it or whatever, but you don't realize that it is still here.
Right.
And that we can still bring it into
Absolutely.
our everyday lives. And I feel like, what were we going to say?
And that's exactly what the route we wanted to take with the tea, you know? Like, connect it to people in, like, a simple form like tea, you know? And people, like, we love when people share their stories when they're drinking it at work, when they're sharing it with their loved ones, you know? We have people, especially for heartbreak, that have purchased it, you know, for loved ones that are going through, like, grief or, like, depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. And it's such a beautiful, like, thing in return for us to hear, like, oh, I bought it for my mom, or I bought it for my, you know, friend, and so on. And we've even had people that have reached out to us and said that it's helped with their, like, PTSD and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
To actually see something you're making and people actually responding and saying that they're connected to you and that this is really important for them. So what are we drinking right now?
So you're drinking our gin that has been infused with our heartbreak, which is this one right here.
Cool. All right, so this is gonna mend my heartbreak, right?
It should. Yeah. Or at
Good
least,
luck, a lot of tea.
You know,
or
and
at
then
least
you
you'll
add
forget
gin
about
to
it.
it, and then you'll forget about
You'll
it.
forget about it.
And then I wake up in the morning again and have to take it some more.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, cool. No, it's delicious.
Non-addictive, just a disclaimer. But it's really good.
It's really good. And what are you drinking?
And I'm doing the Serenity. So it's, you know, same thing, gin infused, but with Serenity, which is lemon balm, chamomile, and lavender.
It's delicious. I really love this one.
Yeah,
actually.
it was like an experiment. It was all an experiment, and it ended up like coming out really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. This is so strong by itself, but when you add a little bit of club soda,
it's delicious.
It's delicious.
It's
It's
like,
easy drinking.
Yeah.
It's summertime drinking.
Yes.
Chilling.
For sure.
And healing.
At the same time, yes.
2 for 1.
Exactly. So I'm sorry. So to get back to the event, so are you gonna have more of these events?
Actually, yeah. There's one in the making, right?
Yeah. There's one. Hopefully at Mivida, right?
Right.
Yeah, Mivida.
Oh, okay.
We should have our
Highland
next
Park.
one. Yeah.
When is that? In the summer? Or is that like fall?
It's what? Is it this
It's
month?
this month.
This month, actually.
Right. It's crazy how time flies.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, this month we'll be there. It's a Brujita event that they do monthly.
They do Brujita nights, yeah. So they
Can you explain? Sorry, can you explain
yeah.
what Brujita nights
Sure.
mean for people
So,
who might not know?
Mi Vida hosts Brujita night. I think it's once a month that they host it, or I think it's once a month, right?
Okay.
So they basically host like different women of color that come in and share whatever knowledge it is that they have to share, whether it be a crystal knowledge share, herbal knowledge share, or like meditation, anything that has to do with like wellness and stuff like that.
Awesome.
And brujita meaning witch, but in Spanish. So
and it's cuter.
Yeah, it's cute. It sounds cute.
It's sweet. It's cute.
And
we're planning on that this month. So we're not exactly sure on the date, but it usually lands on a Thursday.
All right. Yeah. So usually, what do you find now that you guys have both? I know he's very I've known him for a really long time, and I know that you have entrepreneurial tendencies to just want to keep doing this. What was the goal for you guys with this together? What is it that you guys are trying to do?
I mean,
that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I mean, it doesn't have to be super
right,
like 20 years from now or anything, but like. It's hard being an entrepreneur, you know?
Absolutely. And I think that at the very beginning, we kind of went into it without any expectations. We just kind of, I love that him and I just kind of like, we get along in the sense where like we're open to anything, and we just kind of flow. And we've flowed with this for, 5 years now, and it's blossomed into what it is now. And I think we're pretty happy with it, just the way that it's connected us to different people. The way people connect through our product.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
The networking part, I think, is my favorite.
I think eventually what we want to do is just have the company be our income, if it's possible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That'd be nice. That's all we do. We're not really, I don't think we're pushing so hard for it. But that's just because we have regular jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't have the time to dedicate as much time to it. But I think in the long run, that's what we would ideally want,
Absolutely.
And I think in order for that to happen, we have to come up with a newer product, which is kind of what we're thinking about doing this year. We're aiming to do 3 to 4 new new blends every year. So
And it's strictly tea now, or will you ever expand and do,
I think we're getting pretty comfortable with tea.
We're getting comfortable with
That's
tea,
good.
and we like how, again, something
Yeah.
so simple has connected us to different people, different, the community itself, and how our community has responded so well to it, and how they connect, but I think eventually, like, I don't know, we might experiment with other stuff down the line, I mean, that's always been the goal.
I mean, people have always come up to us if they need particular blends or anything, either custom made or just herbs on their own. If they need something, they always, they could always go to us.
Right, custom,
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We've done a few custom blends just for one-time events, or
That'd be
just
cool,
for
like if
like
someone had a wedding and they were into something,
yeah,
and they
we're
would
open
make
to
something
stuff like that too,
like a blessing for everyone there or something. That sounds really nice.
And we've done custom things like, for mommies expecting mommies, or just mujeres that are looking for like yoni steams and stuff like that, vaginal steams. And I think that it works well with, me being a birth doula, where like I know a lot of moms and I know a lot of doulas that also, come to us to buy product in wholesale so that they can give their mommies and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where does the name come from?
So
that's all her.
It's funny because it was this wasn't supposed to be the name.
Okay.
I was just more along the lines thinking of something that represented like some like new life. And in fact, I think I pitched to him one time, like, "Oh, what about Nueva Vida?" And then I was like, "Oh, it sounds like a church. That church."
We were like,
Oh yeah, it does sound like a
maybe not.
And then at the time, the partner that I had at the time, he was trying to write up like a contract for his, graphic design and stuff. And I was like, I'll help you. So like I helped him write up a contract, and like I was putting in like fake business names, just to kind of show him like an outline for him, right? And then one of the business names that I, made up was Casa Papalotl. And then I just kind of like loved the way it flowed, and like essentially it does mean new life. You know what I mean? A butterfly, it goes from a cocoon to a butterfly, which is
That's
new
cool.
life. So yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then you were like, yeah, you're all about it.
I was like, that's cool. I was working at the time. I was working. I was still working where we used to work together, and then I was also freelancing and kind of doing art shows. So I was pretty busy, and I was just like, you have the idea, and I think you know what you're talking about, so we'll go with it. I'm just putting my trust in you. Let's do that.
Wow.
And I'm just like, all right, since I'm working so much, I have a little extra money. I'll put it into the company, and I'm willing to like see what happens. So
yeah.
it was just like, all right, I'm putting the trust on you with the name. Let's go with it. And then I just did like a whole bunch of logos, and it's just like, all right, let's figure out what we want.
Yeah.
And we ended up with what we have now, and
Well,
we haven't changed it. So.
I really love the aesthetic on it. I haven't really talked about that very much, but I know that he's just such a master at packaging and labeling.
For sure.
No, for sure.
No, yeah, he really is.
I really like. It's very clean and very straightforward, and it just looks really good. So I mean, even artistically, it just has a really good style.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, what do you find when working as a team? I mean, there's people that are going to listen to this and probably looking into working as a team with people. What do you find is the most challenging part of working together in this?
I
mean, you both have different opinions.
Agreeing on things. That's probably the hardest.
I mean, we don't really have.
Yeah,
that
we don't
many
disagree
problems.
too often.
Like I said earlier, I think we're both we work really well together.
Yeah.
Where we just kind of both flow.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
It's pretty easy. I mean, we get into our little
shits, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
We'll
but
have our moods.
Yeah, but it could be about the most insignificant thing.
Yeah.
It probably has nothing
It's
to do
like,
with each other, right?
There's a little thing on the table, and it's like, oh, why'd you put that there? I told you not to put it there. It's anything minor, but eventually it's like, all right, let's just have a drink and.
Yeah,
we forget about it.
And we bond over drinks,
Yeah.
and in fact, that is why this was born. The
gin
infused tea.
I agree. I really enjoy drinking with people because it's a bonding thing. I mean, we could bond over working out. We could bond over eating. There's a lot of other things, a lot of other vices that people bond over.
Right.
But I also think that alcohol is a really good way to like keep people connected if you do it responsibly. And
Right.
It's,
Right.
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
So, like I said, in the future, moving forward, you say that you want to expand more on. Can you give us some ideas of what you guys are thinking of doing in the future?
I think the next one that we're gonna introduce is we kind of talked about it already.
Oh, is it
the
yours?
Poderosa?
The
Poderosa
Poderosa.
one.
Okay, yeah. So we collaborated for the We All Grow Latina.
Okay.
We collaborated with Disrupt Aging from AARP.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For a party that was hosted at We All Grow Latina for like influencers, right? So specific influence, like
You went, right?
I did. I went.
I saw.
Yeah.
I saw.
So
cool.
this tea blend, they wanted us to create something that was like empowering and kind of like, just basically, what's the word I'm looking for here? That basically like described We All Grow Latina, right? Like what it stands for.
Okay, got it.
So we made the Poderosa tea blend, and the Poderosa tea blend is something that we've actually been thinking of adding to our line
Yeah.
to keep it on board with us and stuff
Okay.
like that.
And what
'cause,
is that one?
that one is rose. It's red raspberry leaf. What else is in there?
Nettle?
Romero. Yeah.
Nettle?
Romero's there?
Nettle.
Nettle.
Yeah. So Romero, rosemary. It's
Damn fancy.
I know.
I didn't know that.
Thank you. Yeah, I forgot. So it's red raspberry leaf, nettle, rose, and rosemary.
Cool.
So the rose, is always great for like, the heart chakra and stuff like that. It's great for like antioxidant, anti-aging. Red raspberry leaf is great for like the uterus, toning the uterus. It's an overall like hormone balancing herb. Nettle is like a uterine tonic, so it's great for the female reproductive system. And then rosemary, which is grounding. So,
That's cool.
it's very empowering for, it's an empowering blend for women.
How do you guys come up with these concepts?
I guess it's situational.
Yeah, it
what
depends.
we need at the time.
Yeah.
And
Depends. And we look at each herb and how it benefits a specific thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Like in this case, it was something
Like a context or
right.
whatever.
Right.
And then based on that, we figure out like what we can use and what would mix together.
Yeah.
Because we want to make something that at the same time kind of
Cohesive.
yeah, it kind of tastes good.
Right.
Because you
Yeah.
want people to want to
Totally.
enjoy it as they're drinking it. Not only is it good for you, but it tastes good. So then we go through like a taste testing where
That's so cool.
Yeah.
we make different ratios of all the herbs and figure out, okay, do you like this? No. Do you like that? Yes. Or
Oh, that's so
maybe add
neat.
more of this, add
That's
more of that.
fun.
So it's kind of like, brewers now, how they kind of go through their
Yeah,
testing,
yeah.
and that's what we do.
Yeah.
We're brewing tea. And it's just a lot of trial and error, but eventually getting down to the right ratio that works for us, that we think people will enjoy. Sometimes we'll invite other people over and have them taste test it
Yeah.
and see what they think about it. And if they're like, oh, it has too much of this, then we'll pull it back a little, add more of something else, but try to keep everything in there, the right amount of ratio so that they get the right benefits for every tea.
Doing this, do you feel like your palates have changed? Because I could see that if you've been doing this for 5 years, maybe you have a stronger sense of something or an
Yeah. I think
understanding
so.
about things.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You
at least for me.
You start to make connections. You know what I mean? Once
Right.
you're
So we can smell things and be like, oh, what is that? It smells
Yeah.
like, Romero.
Really?
Yeah.
Or what is that? It smells like elderberries.
Yeah.
Like, so we're able to taste things, not even of our own, but other things that we've
Yeah.
tasted and be like, oh, yeah, that's that. It has that, or it's by smell or taste.
that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Even like when we go to events and we're
Uh-huh.
just walking by and people are selling soaps or candles.
Yeah.
Always like, you smell that? Oh, I think that's sage. Oh, I think that's
That's so
that's
cool.
rosemary.
It's like you gain superpowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like I
Yeah.
never thought about that, but the fact that you're telling me that you do all that blending and mixing,
Yeah.
that just sounds like
Yeah.
a really fun process.
And it never gets old when you open up, like, for example, the, like, Living Balm.
Oh,
or,
Or like the
elderberries.
cacao.
Yeah, the
The
cacao.
cacao.
Oh, that one, yeah.
That's
you
your favorite.
smell it, and like, it's like,
That would
you
be my
open it and you smell it, and you're like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, euphoria.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, euphoria. Definitely. That's awesome. So I feel like I'm hearing that a lot of this is women heavy, female, and he loves the ladies. So I totally get why he's here. But do you guys have anything that you're going to reflect more to balance?
Yeah.
Something for
Yeah,
the men's
absolutely.
elderberries. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying?
For the old man berries.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in fact,
They're elderberries.
Daddy's
Old
just
man
rolling
berries,
over here.
so
Hey,
just
get off
you
the
guys
floor.
understand the joke. We have elderberries in our tea, and
Yeah.
we started calling them old man berries.
See,
They're-
okay, see?
They're old and they're shriveled.
Yeah.
And
Oh
they're
my
small.
Can we get a
Yeah,
close up on this?
I don't know.
On these berries?
Later. Where are they?
Oh, there.
There's those little
The
berries,
little black berries
ones.
right there.
Ew. Never mind.
All right.
So,
Buy
yeah.
this though. It's like we're like, ew, a little old man berry in the bag. I knew this was gonna be fun.
Put them in a tea bag and
Yeah.
There you go.
handle
tea
your
bags.
berries.
Wow. So many levels.
All levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So other reflecting on other aspects.
Yes, actually. And we've talked
Like
about
kids
this.
or-
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, kids.
Mans. The
Well-
mans.
So actually, when we
Cool,
first
cool.
started, one of the main things that I wanted to do was
Yeah.
to target women and children.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then the inspiration behind targeting women and children was obviously me and my children. So at the time, my oldest was diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
So I was using like herbal extracts on him, instead of medicating him and stuff like
How
that.
did? Oh, wow. So how did that? How do you feel about that? Did it really make a huge difference? I get it because I've worked with kids and I
Yeah.
feel like the differences of seeing kids on meds versus off.
Absolutely.
And some kids actually, in my opinion, did benefit a lot from the meds. But it's like, what can we do? Invest in those meds to make
Yeah.
a change because
It
that's
was
not good.
It was a hard decision, because it's like I obviously wanted my son to succeed in school.
Totally.
I still do want him to succeed in school.
Was
but
he
I
like
also,
was he just like
just-
not being able to sit down for
Yeah.
long periods of time
not
and
being
just
able to
being
sit
really
for long periods
disruptive?
of time, disruptive.
So then of course he's bad.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the complaints were coming in. He's
Yep.
being bad, and it was always he's being bad.
Yeah, it's always just bad.
But aside from the herbs and stuff like that, we also started working with crystals, and he would do a lot of like we would do nightly meditation and stuff like that. So it wasn't just herbs that we were using; we were incorporating a lot of different things.
Was that all like intentional sitting together and setting intentions type of meditation? Because how would you? Sorry, I'm just like
No,
interested.
yeah.
Are you sitting with him having a conversation, or actually like sitting quietly meditating, or setting intentions? And
So it was a pre-recorded like meditation. Meditation.
Okay.
That
Cool.
was specifically targeted for
self-guided.
children. Yes, guided.
Very cool.
And it was basically empowering for children. Like, hey, you did great at school today. Tomorrow's gonna be a great day. Like,
Okay.
you're amazing. Like, you did the best that you could, type of thing.
Okay.
Because a lot of, it was super like an emotional time for us because he was
Yeah.
going through it too.
Of course.
To be told all the time that he was being bad.
Yeah.
And he knew nothing
and
more
he was
than
like failing.
yeah, exactly. So that was definitely the inspiration for my target for children.
That's
And
cool. Did that happen? I'm sorry. Were you
Yeah.
guys already doing this when that was happening, or
Yeah.
this was in the beginning?
It's kind of the beginning.
It's
I think.
the beginning,
wow,
so everything
cool.
was kind of like how falling into place at the same time and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But that was definitely my inspiration for targeting children, and it's still something that I want to do. And in fact, I use my teas on my kids. My
Yeah.
kids love it. Serenity Tea Blend is a great tea, to calm children, and my son drinks it and he loves it. And we would,
Do you find it really hard to implement some of sort of our ancestral gifts into your everyday? I struggle just remembering to do it. To like, oh, I could use this for this instead. Like I don't know. I feel like
I don't
no.
think so. I don't.
No, I think that for me, myself, in order for me to feel like there's balance in my life,
Okay.
I need to incorporate spirituality.
Was that
right?
something from your family, or was that something you decided?
Something I decided.
Okay.
Yeah, like the whole I didn't know anything about my, who I was, where I was from, all of that. Everything that I
I think
learned.
most of us don't.
Right. Everything that I've learned is self-taught, and then through my sister also, you
Okay.
know. So she's the one that kind of empowered me to like look into like Chicano studies and like,
Yeah, and do
brown
that.
pride and all that stuff. So that's how I started looking into stuff like that and learning on my own. And I hope to, teach my children that, and so that they can, pass it
Care and
along
be
and,
yeah.
to their children and stuff like that. But again, going back to your question,
Sorry, I know I asked you like 20
no,
questions.
you're fine. So I personally feel that my life functions a lot or flows a lot easier if I incorporate spirituality. I'm going to be honest and say that I haven't incorporated it in my life for a few months now because there's just so much going on in my life that like Anyways,
There's no time.
Yeah.
And doesn't it make you feel off, right?
It does make me feel off,
know, I feel you.
disconnected.
Yes.
But one of the things that helps me is in the morning if I burn incense, where it's our blend. It's an incense blend of like white sage, copal, rose,
Nice.
lavender, and rosemary. And that, it's so grounding for me in the mornings, and it kind of sets the tone for me in the morning. And every morning when I do that, I obviously thank my ancestors for guiding me to where I'm at now. And I ask them for permission to continue to do the work that I'm doing and to just continue to guide me through, this journey that I'm on. And I think that itself allows me to kind of remember and keep flowing into, this journey that I'm on.
That's beautiful because I think it reminds us of who we are.
Yeah.
And that we're okay.
Yeah.
Like these rituals that we have.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And if we don't practice whatever works for us, because I think everyone has a different ritual of things that if you don't finish those things or accomplish those things or remind yourself of who you are, it's like you don't feel like yourself and you sort of feel anxious and lost.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. And what about you in terms of that, like ancestral connections and stuff?
I think it's just a little different because of the way I grew up. I don't think we really practiced any of that. So, for myself, it's more just like self-guided, if anything. Yeah. It's a lot of like, talking to myself, not out in public because I don't want to look crazy, but just telling myself, what's going on or breaking down what's going on in life and then trying to figure out how to, make things better for myself and make things better for people around me. But that's about it. I mean, I don't really think I had that opportunity to really deal with any of that, growing up.
Do you find that this is a way for you to deal with it?
I feel like, it kind of opens up different doors for me, definitely.
Yeah.
It's things that I never really thought about and now I think about, So it definitely helps. It's like another
portal.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah.
I think that's why I do the podcast, because it opens portals that I've never connected with before. And I
Right.
hear people and I learn so much about like other people, and then I start learning about myself.
Exactly.
And it's like talking to you, I'm like, oh wow, I never thought about that, or that's not the way that I connect spiritually, but I know that it's important in my life. And that for me it's working out. If I don't work out after like 3 or 4 days, I just feel like shit.
Right.
I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like I can feel it.
It throws you off, and then you're disconnected,
And that's like a self-care type of thing. For
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly.
Yeah. And it's so important, with
Yeah.
everything that's going on. I mean, the political climate, but
That too.
aside from that,
Well, that's just that anxiety from that.
yeah,
To see what's happening and going, what am I supposed to do? It was like 2 podcasts ago I was talking to Jessica and I was like, do I just drive to Texas? Like, what do I do? Do I go and stand there next to the fence with the kids? Like, what?
Oh, yeah,
I take a few days off and stand there and I can't get in there. Like, what do? You see that? Like, we don't even see it. We see it, but it's just like, how is this happening?
Yeah, we only see what they want us to see.
right. And sometimes what they show us is not the real thing.
No, it's not, and it's still, but it's been happening for a year.
It's been
Yeah.
happening
It's not-
for a long time, not
And
just
they don't
now,
talk about it.
It's
don't
just
talk
things
about
that
it.
people don't talk about. It gets swept
Well, because I
under the
think we're
rug.
all like you said, like overwhelmed.
right.
We have so much, and I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like, oh, I have so much on my plate that I can't
Right,
deal with
right.
it. And
Yeah.
I feel like an asshole
Right.
because I'm like, nothing that I am going through has anything like cannot
Doesn't compare. Right.
So then there's this entitled guilt of
Yeah.
being an American and being a legal American, whatever the fuck that means. Do you know what I mean? It's
Privileged,
bullshit. It's
we're privileged.
Yeah, it's because I was born here.
Yeah,
I was born so many thousand miles away that I'm okay. Like, it pretty much is just about that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
So I hear you. I just feel like the anxiety from it is just like too much. Like, I get super heavy and sad.
Yeah.
And
No,
I don't know.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. So yeah. So in terms of going back to what you're talking about, so with the blends and everything and the spirituality connection, is that what you feel like is you're trying to like give, like bring to the community?
Sure. Yeah. Connection, to ancestral, like, medicine that, like I said, has been lost through colonization, and it's something where it's like, I grew up and like my stomach hurts. My mom's like, tomate un té de manzanilla, have some chamomile tea, or I'd have acne on my face. My grandma would be like, "Oh, brew some chamomile tea and put it on your face as a toner,"
Yeah.
you know? So it's little things like that that I want to continue. I want people to continue to, you know, have in their lives. And I want my children to continue to have it in their lives. And I want their children to continue to have it in their lives so that we continue to remember. Because in connection to what you were saying, it's like we've lost all these things through colonization, and we have like all this, you know, bullshit happening in you know, all this political climate, and it's like that's what they want. They want us to kind of like lose ourselves
and consumer and just buy the shit that they're making.
Yeah.
That's not real.
And we can't like hold power if we're forgetting where we come from.
Absolutely.
And you know, all that stuff.
Well,
So-
and it's not real power.
right.
It's power through mind manipulation. Like, okay, when I feel, I've noticed it's like when I feel anxiety, suddenly I want to go shopping.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to Target real quick.
Right.
Let me go get something.
And
And
it's
it's just like, it's like
Yeah.
just feed the
Quick
high,
fix.
Right.
and then I feel like shit an hour or
But
two
it's
later.
like, why can't we just take a moment, have a cup of tea,
Exactly.
ground ourselves?
And that's
Yeah.
the thing. But see,
You know?
a lot of people don't want to do that together anymore. And it's
Right.
that tribal, like instead of me going to Target, I should call you and be like, hey, let's go sit in the park and have tea.
Yeah.
And like people don't do that anymore. So it's like
Right.
I usually have to sit through the anxiety and it'll pass. Like if
And-
I wait an hour and go, I don't really need to go to Target.
Yeah.
I won't go.
Right.
And then that's another $15 I didn't throw.
And you know, you're
$25.
yeah.
Maybe more.
Five
Maybe more.
turns
You
into
never
right.
spend
I'm
that
like
little at Target.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
that's why I kind of changed that. Maybe the 99.
You always want to get a bar sub, yeah.
Mejor en la 99
No.
para estar 5 instead
That's
of
what I'm
like
saying.
50.
The big saver.
Even there, you still
But
spend
the-
20.
Right?
No, but seriously, but you know what's crazy is when I look back in my 20s, and I used to just go to the 99 like every week. Like, why? Just to
to
go to the
buy
99. I used to go to the one on Sunset and Silver
Splurge.
Lake.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And just go shopping.
Yeah.
And like,
Because you
for
feel
what?
rich. You feel rich when
At
you're
the
at
99
It's like,
cent
I
store.
can afford everything.
Like, I got it. You know, yeah. I'm just.
It's a nice
But
feeling.
I look back on like shit, like just going to, and I love thrift
Yeah.
storing, but sometimes I'm like, I look back, I'm like, what was I spending my money
Right.
on? Like,
What could I
Yeah,
have
just
done
like-
differently?
shit.
Yeah.
Like
you
I
know?
just didn't need anything. The
And-
Black Friday sales, like
Yeah.
when I was 25, I was at Fry's
Yeah.
lined up with my friends at 5 in the morning to
Really?
go get the new.
whatever the
And
hell
I'm
it was.
like-
Yeah. And
Crazy.
I think that again, the tea is a great tool to ground yourself, reconnect, have a cup of tea with your friend, you know, hold space for each other. Like these days it's like
That's the thing, hold
we
space.
yeah, holding space. Like we have technology, right, in our hands like every day, every
know.
hour, every minute.
It's
And we
power.
have this phone in your hands. What are you going to do instead of like calling your friend and be like, "Hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I just need you to sit here with me. I don't care if you don't say anything. Just sit here
Yeah.
with me in silence. Hold space for me. I just need a friend." What do? We go on Instagram. We
For
post
hours.
a selfie
Or
or,
for hours
whatever
to wait
with the
for that
caption
validation.
for validation.
For validation.
And then there's that. You know what I mean? But I think that we definitely, our goal is to have people just self care, reconnection, grounding, holding space.
For
Yeah.
for
You
real.
know?
And then just use what like Earth is giving to us, you know? It's like it's there. There's herbs that are
ridiculous.
there.
Totally.
And sometimes we avoid it and we're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go get some medicine somewhere and
Yeah,
you know,
I
You're
mean,
right.
we shouldn't be so quick to just go to that.
right.
Yeah.
We should
Like a
you know
Band-Aid
try
on
these
it.
things. Yeah.
And it's things that you if you realize you go outside and you walk. I'm sure if we take a walk down the street, we can find like a rosemary bush.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we can find lavender. You know, everything that's native, you know, to Cali and stuff like that. And
That's so cool.
hey, you're stressed out, your body aches, you know, you had a rough day, go outside, find a romero bush,
chill.
take a bath with some romero in it and lavender, you know, easy as that. And it's just simple things like that that we just don't do.
And people don't know how to do that either.
Right.
Like,
And-
don't even, they've never even, like, you just have to be shown.
Exactly.
Because some people don't, I will try things on my own, but I know a lot of people who won't. They'll just,
Right. And
or they go to
Sometimes-
Target and buy the bottle
the
of
Dr.
the shit.
Teal's
Right,
or
right,
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without just getting
The
it
Epsom
outside.
salts. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, some people just hit us up sometimes and ask us questions,
Questions,
like, "What can I
yeah.
do for this? What can I?" Do? And I mean, we like that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
appreciate
that's
it when people trust us with with things like that. We definitely appreciate them
Right.
because if we can share any type of knowledge with them, it helps them and they might be able to get that knowledge out there to other people.
Right. Share it
So
with
that's
friends.
that's what matters, you know.
Yeah.
Getting that knowledge out there of what's there for us, you know.
And one of our goals actually, was to become more community involved.
Right.
And I think that we've organically been doing that this year. We haven't done many events this year, but we have done quite a few workshops.
Yeah.
And I think I'm grateful for the fact that it kind of organically, like, you know, happened.
Yeah.
Where we've been asked to host workshops, you know, and we did the tea party. We're going to do the other one and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's where we've done a knowledge shares. And
I love that. I think for me, I've been really into, for a while, essential oils. And so I've been doing like a lot of diffusing, and I really like tea tree oil and like all the mints. Like that's my thing.
Yeah.
And more just applying them like on my skin, and like they're just super clean and straightforward. I was going to ask you specifically, what do you find is the best blend for you, or what herb, or what is like you? Would you
I
say?
think that I have a special connection with rosemary.
Okay.
Whenever I smell it, hold it, especially when it's fresh, like off a rosemary bush, like the smell, it takes me somewhere. And
Interesting.
it like almost makes me emotional, where like I'm like, oh my God, like it feels like home, the smell, you know? And I think that is my plant ally.
Okay.
Romero. Yeah.
Oh, plant ally. Fancy.
I never
So
heard that before.
I like that actually.
Wow.
I was like, I have okay. What about
Hashtag
plant
Plant
ally?
ally.
What's your? Do you have a?
I mean, my combo, I think, is I like mints a lot.
I'm a huge mint.
I love peppermint.
Me too.
So at work, normally I will do peppermint and either green tea or yerba mate. And that's like my new one that I go to, yerba mate and peppermint. And actually, that's gonna be one of our blends that we're gonna come out with.
That's awesome.
So stay tuned, guys.
Yeah,
it's coming
totally.
up. It's coming up.
What I was gonna say was, you had one though that I got. I've gotten before. It was the mint. You had a mint one. It was
Oh,
like
peppermint
the
with a
peppermint
cacao.
Oh, that one's so good.
That one is so bomb.
Oh, I
That
just
one-
happen to have some here
There
with
we
me.
go. Yeah. It's
Wow.
really good. And of course, it's the animal.
Animal.
I'd have the
Yeah.
animal. I, of course, Lonnie would be using the animal tea blend.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. So this one has what? 'Cause I
That
wanna
one
read
is just cacao and peppermint.
straight up.
Right,
And
special cacao.
that one is, honestly, that blend is it hits home. That's I'm from Guatemala.
Yeah.
My mom's from Guatemala. And I visited Guatemala for the very first time 2 years ago.
That's so cool. Where'd you go? Because I want to go.
I went to Ciudad, you know,
Okay, cool.
like, so Guatemala City. But I also visited different areas and stuff like that, like Tecpan and like, you know, where else? Cabañas. I think it was Cabañas. But
You went with your family?
I was supposed to go by myself.
Oh, okay.
And meet family over there.
Okay.
Because the background story of this is the reason why I wanted to travel out to Guatemala was to kind of heal.
Okay.
And heal my mom's, you know, trauma and
Okay.
my grandma's trauma, you know, to kind of start breaking those chains and, you know, stop passing down the trauma. But to make it short, my mom had not been back to Guatemala in 40 plus years, almost 50. I was supposed to go by myself because she refused to go with me. Like, she did not want to face, you
All of
know,
it.
all the trauma that was left behind.
Yeah.
Her mom passed on during child labor when she was only 14 years old here in San Fran. And
Wow.
the reason why she fled to San Fran was because there was domestic violence in the home.
Okay.
So
Yeah, well,
it got so bad that, you know, her husband, my grandpa, almost killed her.
Yeah.
So she fled, and she made a life out here. Met
God, it
somebody.
takes balls.
Yeah. Met somebody. Was pregnant and was in the process of bringing her children, my mom and her two siblings, down, you know, with her. But she passed away during child labor. But that's the trauma that my mom was facing, you know, all that she had to see when she was younger, you know, her mom getting beaten and stuff like that. So she didn't want to face that. So she didn't want to return. Anyways, she did end up going with me, though.
Wow.
So that was a super, like, healing experience for her,
Okay.
for me.
Yeah.
It was super emotional.
Yeah.
But I feel that she just kind of, like, treads lighter, you know? Like,
Yeah?
every morning that she wakes up, like, she just feels lighter, you know?
Well, I'm sure going with her daughter
Yeah.
is
So,
like,
yeah, you
you know?
know? And she's not very expressive with me, but one thing that I'm always going to remember is her thanking me for taking her back. you know.
Wow, that's
And helping her face head on what she was trying not to face, you know. But yeah, that was that.
That's beautiful. How long were you there?
We were there for a week that year, but we went back last year again for 2 weeks.
Oh, that's great.
And I took my kids this time.
That's so cool.
And that first trip to Guatemala is where I found a cacao provider.
Ooh, networking.
So our
cool.
our cacao is straight from Antigua, Guatemala.
Wow.
It's organic and
That's what's up.
Fair trade, yeah. So everything that's that purchased to them is fair trade. So everyone's paid, you know, fair wages for everything that they're doing. So it's indigenous people and it's ceremonial cacao too. So everything is picked on the energy. The ceremony happens on a specific day. So every day every day has a specific nawal, and that's the energy of the day. So each batch.
I'm sorry, what's a nawal?
A nawal is kind of like a Mayan. Think of it as a Mayan kind of horoscope, where like you know you have that daily
so
horoscope.
that day is the nawal.
So
for
yeah,
that day.
so that
Got
day
it.
is, for example, let's say toch. You know what I mean? For that day, toch is the nawal, and that's the energy of the day.
Okay.
So if they create ceremony and they,
so do they have a nawal for every single day of the? Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. So each batch of our cacao is made under the nawal, a different energy.
So neat.
And it also means a lot for that reason, but it also it's inspired by my tío in Guatemala. And my tío Hector in Guatemala, he is like the most energized 81-year-old I've ever met.
How neat.
I mean, this man wakes up every morning 5 a.m. to go to the gym, and he's walking down the street, and all they holler is "Animo." That's what they call him, Animo, because he's so energized. Like, I mean, he's such a happy person, and the reason why I have so much love for him is because he was the one that was there for my mom and her siblings. Throughout everything.
Wow.
He took them in, you know, when their mom would get beaten, and he took care of them. When she came down, my grandma came down to San Fran, he's the one that took them in, took care of them, and watched over them as if they were his. And essentially, he was a protector for my mom and my grandma and her siblings. So I love him so much for that, you know,
Dude, that's amazing.
For holding space and for keeping my mom safe, you know, and my grandma. So... yeah.
That's a beautiful story. That's why I love doing this. I get like the best stories. All right, so this is so cool.
So that's where we got the name.
Well,
for the
now
tea.
I can't. Like now, I'm even more like, oh my god, this is beautiful.
That's why it's called Animo tea.
Yeah, it's
because
beautiful.
of her uncle. Yeah,
yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I remember she came back when she came back, she told me the story, and she's like, "Hey, I want to do a tea blend dedicated to my uncle," and she told me the story. I was like, "All right, cool, I get it. Yeah, we got to do it."
That's such a beautiful story. I mean, you tell it so beautifully too. I don't know. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, it's easier to tell now, but it is an emotional, you know, like story, and I'm just glad that I'm able to look back on it and be grateful for it, and having the privilege to take my mom back to her country and allowing her to kind of like process and, you know, heal and stuff like that.
Well, that takes a lot of guts because you go into it not knowing what the outcome's going to be like, and it could have been a completely different scenario.
It could have.
People just, you don't know going into it how people are going to deal with it. And it's like, I've never gone through, when I look back, even with my dad, and my dad is from Guatemala too, and they all got crazy stories, you know? And it's like, thinking about the stuff that they've gone through, it's like I've gone through really bad things, but some of the stuff, like, I never had, I mean, that's the reason I'm here and why I was born here and all these choices that people made for me to have a better life. Because I never got beaten up. I never got on the street. I never got kicked out by my mom or like turned away and been the black sheep. And like my family definitely, like my dad and, you know, my mom have gone through stuff. But my dad, same thing, was like a black sheep. And he was alcoholic and this whole thing. So I think it's hard to actually realize like those people, even though they struggle, it's like they did the best that they could do too. Absolutely. Like your mom did the best that she could do and that she had no power. And again, that's why I think I get frustrated with what's happening now, because it's like it's happening all over again. But now it's happening. I mean, it always was, but it's happening in the United States now. And that's such a like, I just embarrassed that this is the choice. These are the choices people are making now here. And like, wow, now we're watching it, and we're just watching. It's just like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's all these crazy people in power. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, and it's hard, you know. I mean, I remember, I mean, we try to help as much as we can.
Yeah.
We've
For the, what was it, the eruption?
The eruption of the
lava
volcano in
eruption?
Guatemala.
Yeah.
Was it last year that I went? Yeah. Last year that I went out there for 2 weeks. Like I had said, when I came back, like a couple of days into me coming back, the volcano erupted over there,
Dude,
where
that's
that whole
crazy.
disaster happened.
Yeah.
And I felt so powerless to have been there connecting with the land and stuff like that, and with the people.
Yeah.
And then to be here and be completely powerless where I can't help.
I know.
Like, it was just, but we ended up collecting money, and we sent it off to Guatemala, because I have family in Guatemala, and I have one that's a medic. She's a
wow.
doctor, so she's a doctor out there. So she
Cool.
was at the
site.
the site,
Yeah.
helping people. And so she took the money and the donations that we collected, and she, dispersed it, however she felt it was needed. And that's how we helped,
Yeah.
And wherever it's possible, whenever it's possible, we try to help in that way, with monetary donations
Absolutely.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Because at the end of the day, it really is what they need.
Right. Yeah.
I always trip out on how important money is.
Yeah.
Everywhere. As much as like I try to be the starving artist, I'm like,
need
yeah,
money.
I need money. This isn't
Yeah.
cute anymore.
Yeah.
I want to go do something with my friends. I
I wanna
can't.
go to Target.
Yeah, I want to go to Target. $25.
My 99-cent store
I
shopping
want to.
spree is not enough.
I want to splurge at the
Yeah.
99. So,
Yeah.
totally. So, I guess with you guys are talking about your goals and intentions for the future. What do you feel community wise here that you're trying to connect with, at least more locally?
I guess just having our community be aware of
Yes.
like things that you said that people don't know how to do, where it's draw a herbal bath, something as simple as that, you know what I mean? And that's a goal, definitely, aside from like trying to grow, financially. Definitely get more community involved, where like we're sharing how people can connect.
Yeah.
Just get more knowledge out there, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I really like, as you've said it like 3 times, is making space. Mm-hmm. I think like that's something, I feel like at the end of every podcast I'm doing, it's like there's always kind of an end result of a statement or something that I'm taking away. And I think with us, it's definitely making space for people, because we can always say, well, we're too busy. We have, and which we are. Sometimes you just are. You really aren't saying that just because.
Yeah.
It's just mentally, even making mental space. Because some people will ask for your time, and you're like, oh fuck, like
You already know. You're like, oh, that's gonna take up my time.
He knows. Like there's certain people too that take more space than others in a way that you may not want to give your space to, like energy wise.
And that's okay. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you energetically do not have to give yourself to everybody. But if you have the privilege of like having 30 minutes extra of your time where you feel that you can energetically hold space for somebody.
And the way you say it, you have to like, and let's insert the word energetically, because that is so true.
I mean, it takes labor to hold space for
Dude,
somebody.
it does, baby. And it's also cutting. I've cut back, honestly, just in general on people and space, and I feel like I feel the residual, like the kickback of people when you start cutting away the space for people. You also start to feel people not happy with
Resent
you.
Right,
you.
right.
Yeah.
Or push you away.
I think
just
it's
not
more
give you time.
or passive aggressively angry at you because they want your time
Yeah.
because you used to give them that space.
Right.
But it's also so draining.
Yeah, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so important to learn how to hold space for yourself. If you don't have.
Yeah, because then we're too busy giving our space. I mean, I've years given my space to everybody.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then you get resentful because you're giving your space away. No one asked you to do that.
Right,
So
right,
it's like, I should be responsible for the fact that, hey, I did that to myself.
Yeah. So also learning how to distribute your space where you're not giving too much to someone.
Yeah, totally.
Because you never know.
The burnout is real, you know?
Well, and all the aftermath.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
resentfulness or...
Yeah, everything that follows after that is just all bad. There's nothing good that comes out of that.
No, there isn't.
So you gotta figure out how much you're able to give to someone or to everyone, where it's kind of dispersed and it's not affecting you and it's not gonna affect you in the long run.
Right.
Because yeah, you never know what's gonna happen.
I mean, I'm sure that as entrepreneurs, you guys struggle with that all the time, working together yet wanting to do other things, and then also having a full-time job, and then you being a mom.
I mean,
and he's a full-time designer.
a lot of the times we have to like cancel our plans just because we're like, we have an event this weekend.
Oh, you mean your outside plans?
Yeah,
Exterior plans.
any type of plan sometimes. It's just like, oh, we
Just
have
to
an event
realize.
this weekend. We need to do work this week.
Yeah.
So, sorry. So, what's your process and how does that look?
Like
because
work-wise,
this
or-
is small batch.
Yeah.
So
Right.
this entails a lot more work than just sending it out to a distribution
Right,
company
Yeah.
to do this
right.
for you, and then you guys take pictures with it, but you
Yeah.
throw all this
Right.
money at it. It's like, how does this work?
I mean,
So it's
long nights.
just because she works
You
and I
know?
work during the day, we always have to meet, and she has kids, so
Yeah.
we have to meet up usually after 10. Mm-hmm. It's during the week and normally
after
after
10.
10:30, whatever. And we meet up, we do a breakdown of what we need to do. We do a breakdown,
I'm sure he's
cheese me out and
pre-prepped.
everything. We gotta do that.
So first we drink.
Yeah.
That helps.
We have a few drinks to like
Lubricant.
because the stress of the week and
Yeah,
everything.
because you still haven't even
to
Yeah.
wind down
and you haven't
stuff like that.
decompressed.
Yeah.
And then we do that every time. I think that's what helps us too, because we talk about, I ask her like what's going on with her and her life, and she'll ask me what's going on, and we both
That's
talk
like
about
therapy.
each
Yeah,
other.
that's what I was gonna say. Therapy
So
sessions.
it helps us. It definitely helps us
Love
because
that.
we kind of bond with each other. The company grows, and we're not just strangers.
Right,
building
working
a company
together. We actually
actually-
You're
we're
making
friends.
space
We're
for
friends.
each other.
We
Know each
hold
other.
space for each
You
other.
hold,
Right.
hold
Yeah.
space sounds better.
Whether it's good drama or bad drama.
Good drama, bad drama,
it all
whatever.
comes out.
It all comes up.
Everything comes out. And then once that's done, then we'll do inventory, see what we have, see what type of events we have coming up, and based on that, then we'll make a list and we'll be like, all right, we need
Check
to
it twice.
this much of this. Yeah.
Naughty or nice.
Nice. Oh,
Sorry, I had
these
to.
are all naughty. And then and then we'll just basically do another to-do list on what we need to do, and break it down into how many days we can meet that week.
Jeez.
And then figure out, all right, what are we gonna do the first day? What are we gonna do the second day? And before, in the very beginning, it used to be like we would meet 2
Every
weeks.
day,
Yeah,
dude.
every day for like 2 weeks
Learn
Just to
how
prep for one event.
for one event.
That was
No,
like,
but you have to figure out your system.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
then we figured it
He and I
out.
we're doing that
Yeah.
too. It's like having a partner and figuring out
Yeah.
a system
Right,
that
right.
works, because
And
everyone
now-
has a different system.
Now
Sorry.
we can like
We can
create
do everything in like
3 days.
2-3 days.
If 3 days, if it's like 2 back-to-back events, like on
Yeah.
a weekend, but
That's
2
not
days
bad.
if it's just one, you
well,
know.
and it's blending and
I mean,
labels.
sifting.
Dude.
Yeah, because we had.
So you sit. Yeah.
Lift-
So tell me the
yeah.
process. So you take.
I mean, for example, like chamomile, right? You have the little
Oh,
chamomile
yeah,
flower,
chamomile.
but then you have all this dust of the chamomile
Yeah.
that accumulates at the bottom of your bag.
okay.
So aesthetically, we established that we didn't want
The powder.
the powder
Yeah.
in
yeah.
there. So we literally sift chamomile
So-
before we even blend anything.
Something like this with Serenity.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't see any powder at the bottom. That's
Okay.
just,
Okay. So there would
which-
be like this residual white
Right.
powder on the
Exactly.
bottom.
Usually,
And it
that's
just
what
doesn't look
that's
good.
what you get when you buy like
Chamomile tea bags.
like
when
tea
you-
bags.
Right?
Yeah, when you get tea bags, they're all either ground down or
Mm-hmm.
it's that stuff.
Well, I love that you guys paid attention to that much detail.
Yeah.
We love
you,
aesthetics.
I wouldn't. No, aesthetically, it's beautiful. I mean, the
Because
reason
we-
it's so clear and clean. You
I
know?
think we probably packaged it once and we looked at it and we were like,
no.
that's not gonna work. Dump it out.
Interesting.
Yeah. We
But
But this is with the blend.
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, even by itself.
Even
if you
by
get
itself, we still
chamomile by
sift it.
itself, yeah.
Wow, you guys.
She
Yeah.
hand sifts all the chamomile,
I hand sift all the chamomile.
and then I'll
He hand sifts all the
She's a hand
roses.
sifter.
I work well with the hat. No,
Yeah.
to sift.
Rated
to
R.
sift.
Rated R episode. Rated
To
R
sift.
episode. Sorry.
Can you bleep that out?
17. What is it? 17 plus or whatever. Anyways,
TVMA.
TVMA. TVMA.
So he sifts all the rosebuds.
All the rosebuds.
he
yeah.
would.
Because aesthetically, also like there's rose petals, and then there's the the
All
little
the bottom stuff.
the little
The stem.
the stems.
Sure,
Sure, we'll call it that.
yeah.
So he's like picking out all
And
the
I'm
stems. like,
picking out stems
Damn. Okay.
because it's just heavy, and all it does is it makes the tea bitter. So you don't
Oh.
want any of that in there. So it's
Okay.
both for flavor,
Yeah.
quality, and aesthetics. So
That's
it's a little bit of
lot.
everything.
That's what's up.
And that's what takes. I
This
think
is what you
time.
guys are getting for this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like a.
And I just want to let you guys know that sometimes we're working up to 2 to 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
2 to 3 in the morning, and we have to go to work the next day.
The next
with
day.
like 2 to 3 hours of
That's
sleep.
gross.
Yeah.
And drinking, you guys.
Well, we
So-
have
We
to.
mastered it,
This
though.
is this is our fuel
This
to
is
keep
our
going.
fuel to keep going.
this
This,
is how we
is
keep
our
going.
animal.
Aw,
Yeah.
the animal. I agree.
I don't know how your uncle does it, but maybe he's drinking gin back in Guate.
Right?
Yeah.
So so you said so you've basically broken it down to maybe 2 or 3 days
Yeah.
for an event as opposed to full on like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you're sifting through it, and then you do all the so you have to have all the pre-labels and everything ready.
Well, we don't. We print depending on what we're
much?
gonna So everything gets printed out and labeled on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like, oh, we need to make 5 of these, and it's like, all right, I have
Yeah.
my laptop there and my printer,
That's so cool though.
print everything out, and then we have different packaging. So we have the big ones, and then we have the small ones,
So,
and then we
yeah.
also have
This is the big one.
the
How
little-
many ounces is in
This
that
is
one?
2 ounces.
ounces.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it just depends on what's in there because the Heartbreak I think is 3.5.
Or 2.5 actually.
3.5.
3.5? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the Heartbreak is just because the herbs in there are a little heavier, and they take up less
More
volume.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can fit more in there.
That's so cool.
But yeah, it's like it's
work.
work.
It is work.
It's work, but it's happy to like take the work out there and having people like, oh, we follow you. I have this tea before. I tried
I
this
love
one.
this
I loved
tea,
it.
yeah.
And that just makes it all.
Worth
How
it.
worth
many?
it.
Sorry, how many do you have now? How many flavors and?
So
flavors?
we have,
We have
Serenity, Animal, Heartbreak, Postpartum, Moontime, Más Leche, Beso, and
say animal.
I did
Yeah,
say
she
Animal.
did.
Beso and Ofrenda, but that's seasonal.
Oh yeah, so we have some
So we
seasonal
have
ones.
about
too.
8.
That's a good number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
My favorite
And then
number.
we're adding Poderosa, so that would be 9. But
And
yeah.
then the other. So this is the thing.
Yeah.
Whenever we have a lot of tea blends that we have made, and they're all
They're there.
great. They're
They're
good.
great.
We tasted.
Well,
them.
I'm sure you have like 25 other versions that you love, or maybe
maybe-
you haven't implemented
I was
it.
gonna say maybe not so many, but
Not so many.
we have a lot. We have a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. That you're,
But the big thing with us is
His names.
the names.
oh,
We
So
put a
it takes
lot
a
of-
lot of time for us to figure out or agree on a
artists,
name.
artists.
And we're like, I think Serenity was like the first one we did.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it just kind of, we went through a list of names and I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Serenity
It's your
tea.
baby.
yeah, yeah.
And
it's their
this
top seller.
built the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our top seller.
Yeah.
The first event that we ever did, actually, we took that. We took a few, like we had Palo Santo and we had some sprays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then our table was so empty. We were like, what are we going to do? So she's like, hey, I got some lavender and I made some simple
Lavender
syrup.
yeah.
And then we were giving out lemonade with simple syrup.
Lavender simple
Yeah,
syrup.
lavender
That's
simple
cool,
syrup.
though.
Just
That's
so, and then
delicious.
we were selling the lavender simple syrup, and we had like a few of these little mason jars on there, and it's like everyone's like, oh, lemonade, and they're just like filling up their big old canisters. It's like, oh yeah, have some of our syrup. You
That
know?
is so funny.
But it's like we're trying to fill the
Fill-
table because we had just
yeah.
Very
one
little
product.
product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was our first
This was
event though.
5 years ago then.
Well, okay.
Ish.
So on paper, it's 2014.
2014. But our very first event was probably what?
2017?
No, 2016, I think.
16? Okay, like
yeah.
late 16.
Okay.
That's I had a baby and we were in like a
Wow, that's a lot.
hiatus.
Shit, one
Yeah.
of those
Yeah.
2-year babies.
I know. You know, postpartum and stuff.
Well, good. I mean, that's why we have this plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, we have blends that are inspired by my postpartum period.
That's
And
why I'm
mine,
like, I'm sure
yeah.
that's what happened.
Dun, dun, dun.
So,
Oh, this is so cool.
yeah, so the postpartum
The fuerza balance.
Fuerza
Okay.
and balance, yeah. So that one has like nourishing herbs, hormone balancing herbs, you know. So that was definitely inspired by my postpartum period, and then also my work as a doula because I have moms that I've worked with, and that's a tea blend that I actually include in my package.
That's so cool.
them, yeah.
How long have you been a doula for?
Since 2015,
And was that because, where did that come about?
from my second birth. Yeah.
Okay.
So my very first birth was a hospital birth.
Okay.
They both were hospital births, but my first one was kind of like
A traditional.
I went into it and I was like, medicate me.
No, Western.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah,
feel
yeah.
it. Just get the baby out, you know?
Yeah.
And
Which
then-
is traditional American.
Right.
It's just
Nowadays,
very westernized.
that's
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
the way
It's
it
been like that
works,
for
you know?
here in the totally.
But I also didn't have much support because my pregnancy was not very well accepted by my
Okay.
family. So it was hard to go through that, you know? I mean, my pregnancy all the way down to my like 6 months, I wasn't talking to my mom because she was really upset at the fact. So the support that I wanted and needed wasn't so much there.
Yeah.
With my second birth, I tried to support myself, you know? I tried to do an unmedicated birth. I tried to reach out and I actually wanted to have my baby at a birth center
Okay.
with a midwife, but finances didn't allow for that.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, there's definitely more moms out there that are going through what I'm going through,
Absolutely.
where they don't feel that they have the support and they don't have the money to pay a doula or a midwife or a birth center, you know, all of what
All
it
the
takes to
above.
have a
It's a whole
home birth,
thing.
you know, all of that. So I started by actually volunteering with a doula project.
That's cool.
Which was like, we were strictly volunteering our time. So I was taking births on and not getting paid for it, which I was fine with because that's what I wanted to do.
That's
you know?
cool.
And then I had private clients on the side as well that I would take on pro bono or donation based and stuff like
Wow,
that.
that's so cool,
Yeah.
babe.
Yeah.
So
And
what do you think you gained from that for the most part? Was that like a
mean,
healing thing? Or was that like a
absolutely.
connection?
Absolutely. I think it was definitely healing. I still, in the future, plan to take on more births. It's just at the time right now, my lifestyle does not permit for it right now. But it was
Well, yeah.
definitely, it was definitely like healing, you know, in the sense where, like I said, my grandma passed on during child labor, you know. My mom
Yeah.
had 9 miscarriages total before she even
Jeez.
had my sister and I. So there's like, you know, we carry trauma in the womb. So that, my thing is like, if you don't feel empowered, if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel, you know, like you can birth the way you want to, that's already creating trauma, and that's trauma that's being passed down. So if I can help to make you feel safe or hold space for you during labor, then I'm going to do that because I don't want there to be trauma
That's
for
beautiful.
yourself or for your children, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous. Like, it's so beautiful. Sorry. Okay, so you're on. You're both on here because I've been really wanting you guys on, and I really.
you.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
really have so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I know.
Yes.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And
You too.
Danny, boy genius.
Dragon Force.
Yeah, I have a tremendous amount of respect for both of you because I think that entrepreneurial, we all have the same connection. He's been hustling and grinding. I met him hustling and grinding, and I know you do the same. So I think, what is it? I think ultimately that makes you're on here because it's first among equals. So it's just who are you trying to be in the future? Like, what is it that you're really trying to convey to the universe, to the world, to the community? Specifically, what do you feel like? What is it you're trying to do?
As a company or me as a person?
Person, I think.
I definitely want to I want to definitely hold space for my community, you know, whether it be through my work as a doula or whether it be through my work as, you know, Casa Papalotl. But I definitely want to reconnect people. I want to be a influence on my community, you know, a good influence where, you know, we connect them through the herbs or, you know, stuff like that. Also an influence on my community through birth work and stuff like
That's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. And you?
I mean, I think the same thing. Just, you know,
Through birth?
specifically through birth. Specifically as a doula.
He's like, Aaron, come on, baby, open your legs. Let's do it. Sorry.
That's my first thought actually.
I know. I knew it was.
I was like,
I know this guy.
I think I can do that.
I think you can. I'm surprised you haven't yet, freak. Woo! Sorry.
Well, who's to say I haven't? But,
I know. I know.
No, but I you know, like she said, I want the company to represent something that
Right.
that the community can go to when they need some sort of knowledge or when they need some sort of help. It doesn't. I don't necessarily want to make it about myself, but just more about the company.
Okay.
I want people to recognize it and not me.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to, that are in need of help to have the trust in us to go to us.
That's what's up.
And that's all I would want.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
in fact, like, we do want to be recognized as a company and not as people.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay.
how you don't really see our faces.
group? No, you
Well,
don't.
Initially when we first started,
You would not
that was
see
the
our
thing.
faces.
It's like we just put the company out there, and I never really promoted it through my personal profile because I wanted the attraction to be
About
organic, yeah. And I didn't want people to follow the company because they know me and they're like, oh, I know you.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't agree necessarily with that. I think when people know who you are
Right.
and who
They
you
see your
stand for,
face.
and you're a facilitator of creating community experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and this is even outside of the tea, but just the arts, the
Mm-hmm.
events, the community. This is something you've been doing. People want to support you in doing that because there needs to be more of us doing that.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
they can choose to go, oh yeah, I know you guys. I'm not really vibing your new thing. Or they can go, I know you, and now you're doing that,
trust
Right.
and
you.
now I
Right.
like
Right.
I like that even more.
Right.
And
But
I struggled with that too.
Initially, that's how it
what
was.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel you.
But now we've
It's
realized
like surrendering.
We're
It's
kind of
not
more
good.
opening.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
That's a great word for it.
Yeah.
We've surrendered to the fact that our audience likes to see personal experiences.
And surrendering to your success.
Yes, that's true too.
You know what I mean?
You know?
Accepting that
Yeah.
you guys are badass and that you need to like let it go because it's
Right.
gonna come to you anyway. So you might as well
Right.
let it come sooner than later.
There you go, girl.
You know?
Love that. Yeah.
So yeah, I love
Yeah.
it.
So it is
All
what
right.
it is.
Well, really quickly before we go, can you guys give us your handle? Anywhere that they can follow you, personal and professional?
Sure. So our handle as a company is Casa Papalotl. So it is CASAPAPALOTL. And my personal handle is Tropicana Roxy. That's XAPICANA Roxy ROXY. And
On Instagram.
on Instagram,
Instagram.
yes.
Cool.
Instagram.
Is there a Twitter or anything?
We have a Twitter, and
Okay,
it would
cool.
be the same as
Yeah.
your
Okay,
Instagram
so that's on
handle.
Twitter.
Facebook, same thing.
Cool.
Yeah. And then my personal one is Edmundo, DEADMUNDO.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Awesome.
It
Thank
was
you for
such a
having us.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
I always
Thanks
enjoy
again.
this, and thank you
Yeah.
again. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is Lani La Quetzal from First Among Equals podcast. I want to check you next week. Peace.
See ya.